Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today we have an awesome guest, Q from InsaneFBAHustle, who did 1.3 million in wholesale last year and has been in the reselling space for several years. Actually helped some of our friends and former guests get started and everything. So we're excited to jam on all that and everything. Thanks for joining us, man.
What's going on, man? I appreciate you guys for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I was scrolling your Instagram while I was eating breakfast this morning. You've been at it for a while. You've done different genres of reselling, you have some good relationships and everything. You want to take us back to the beginning though, because a lot of our viewers are in the place that, all three of us were in several years ago, not really knowing, the best directions to start and everything.
Right. Yeah. And listen, I think it's important for us to go back, to where it all began, because a lot of people see us three on this podcast this morning. And it's like, these guys are doing millions of dollars of sales or revenue on Amazon, but they don't really understand and know what the beginning was like. I started in my living room when I was living in North Carolina. I initially started off getting like liquidation pallets and stuff like that, selling on eBay, and then whatever I can sell on Amazon as far as like used electronics and use like small appliances and stuff like that. I was sending that stuff in, and you know how it is whenever you're doing, like stuff that's used, you have to, click the condition, like new, all that kind of stuff, like new, or whatever. And so that's what I started off doing, man. And then moved into doing RA, Walmart, Target, Ollie's, Big Lots, all of the kind of like bargain stores that people will go to in order to, get their RA popping. And so, that's pretty much how I started, man. I went from my living room to my basement to 1,000 square foot warehouse, and now to a 2,000 square foot warehouse. So the transition from, RA, hustling, bustling in the stores, I really didn't get too much into OA. I did a little bit of it, but really didn't get too much into it. My focus was really RA, going into the stores and using BrickSeek, websites like that in order to find inventory and kind of figure out how much.
In a while.
Say it again.
I said I haven't heard someone talk about BrickSeek in a long time.
Yeah, man. I was using that for inventory purposes to see, how much stock a particular store had. And I would go and I would literally clear them out, bro. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Ollie's. Ollie's is like a bargain store.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up, man. That's
yeah.
Especially, I know a couple guys in Georgia that do really well, but they have them near me in Pennsylvania as well.
Right. Yeah. So if you go all the way back through my Instagram, you'll see videos and pictures of these orange stickers, these orange tags, and those are from Ollie's, bro. Like, I remember one Christmas, man, I spent the entire Q4 going to all of the Ollie's here in Georgia, and I racked up, man. Like, that was my first breakout season, if you will. I think it was like Q4 of maybe like 2018, I think it was. And I mean, they had everything that they had Barbie, it was crazy stuff, man. So I went and wiped Ollie's out, bro. Went and wiped them out.
That's what our guy Joe Hart does. He's an Ollie's hustler.
In Georgia.
Yeah, Ollie's.
Yeah.
BrickSeek.
Yeah.
People talking about BrickSeek back in the pool days, the Victorian days, pool days,
It still works really well. Like, there's people that are doing like the online deals section on there and everything. Like it does work well.
Yeah.
So take us through this sort of light bulb moment where you were in the store doing that sort of hustle, but you realized that you wanted to do something a little bit bigger with wholesale. You wanted to continue to scale and kind of step back and kind of take that step forward.
Right. Well, the aha moment for me was realizing that there's got to be a better way, right? In my opinion, I think RA is where you start, but not where you stay. That's just my opinion. And again, it's nothing against any seller that's in that space right now, right? There's hundreds of sellers that are making a lot of good money doing RA. The problem with RA for me is that it's not replenishable, right? And so you have to go, and it's literally like a treasure hunt where you have to go and try to find these products over and over again. And what I was finding was I had tons and tons of SKUs in my inventory catalog, you know what I mean? Of which I probably had maybe 5 or 6 units of one item, 5, 6 units of another item. And I realized that I was using a lot of gas. I was putting a lot of wear and tear on my van at the time. And more importantly, a lot of wear and tear on my body because I was traveling. I was constantly in the car getting stuff and I was excited about it. But again, when I brought that stuff back to my basement or at the beginning stages when I got my warehouse, I was still doing RA as well. But I realized that once I got to the warehouse, I felt like I had a lot of stuff, bro. But when you really start to enter the items, you realize that I only got 100 items. You know what I mean? And so I started to look up wholesalers here local in the Atlanta area and started to find some suppliers here in Georgia, bro. And I kind of started in like the health and beauty category. And it was kind of up from there because when I walked into that cash and carry supplier, it was 30,000 square feet worth of health and beauty items, right? The shelves were stocked. I can go in there and purchase as many as I wanted. When they were out of stock, they literally went into overhead and brought more down the next day. You know what I mean? So that was kind of like my start, my aha moment into, okay, so I can transition from the RA where I'm hustling and bustling and traveling here, there, and everywhere to get inventory to now going to one warehouse, literally. And for those of you who don't know what cash and carry is, it's literally a supplier or distributor that allows you to walk into that establishment and literally buy wholesale, but buy the items right then and there, right? Like there's no PO, there's no pre-ordering or anything like that. There's really no sales rep or anything like that. So I can literally just walk into that distributor and literally buy whatever I wanted. And at that time I was doing clippers, like hair clippers. And that stuff was selling like hotcakes, man. I mean, I was doing like 92 grand a day. It was crazy.
Wait,
then I got shut down.
Whoa. Oh, whoa. All right.
Yeah.
I need to go deeper into that.
Yep. So like the Wall and Andis hair clippers, I was selling those, bro. I wasn't even FBAing them. I was FBMing those.
Yeah, you got it.
And so what I would do, right. And so what I would do is I would go and I would buy the stuff. And then based on how many units I had, I would go and replenish my inventory, FBM. By the time I got back to the warehouse, everything was sold. So all I had to do was go and print the labels and ship it out on my own. I was doing that for maybe like 4 months straight.
Oh,
and then I walked into the same warehouse, same supplier, and the guy who normally checks me out was like, hey, we got a call from Wall, the brand. They say we can't sell to you anymore. I was like, why? What's going on? He's like, I don't know what's going on, but if you're selling them online, they're telling us that we have to cut ties with you. And that was like the beginning of the not downfall, but because I was making so much money selling those clippers, that really put a dent in my revenue. So I now had to pivot to, okay, well, what am I going to do now? Because, they had a ton of other beauty supplies in there and stuff, but it didn't sell as well as the hair clippers. You know what I mean? So I had to pivot from, okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to replace the 92 grand that I'm doing today? How am I going to replace that to something to supplement that? You know what I mean? And so I started doing my research, got on Google. And let me just say this as well, fellas. I get a lot of DMs. I got a DM this morning asking any advice on how to get into wholesale. Like I get that constantly. So my answer would be Google. Like that's how I found like 90% of my wholesalers is literally Googling wholesalers in my area. You may want to use keywords based on what you're trying to sell. So if you're trying to sell grocery, I would type in grocery wholesalers in my area. If you're trying to get into health and beauty, I would type in health and beauty suppliers in my area. You can also use words like distributors as well, suppliers as well. One of my biggest categories is grocery. I sell a lot of convenience store items, a lot of snacks and candy and stuff like that. And so that became my bread and butter. So in Georgia, health and beauty, well, beauty is really, really big here. There's a lot of like beauty salons and hair salons and stuff like that here. And so that's why that's really big here. But there's also a lot of grocery suppliers and convenience store suppliers here as well. So that's kind of where I kind of made my bones after I got cut from the health and beauty supplier. And so now 95% of my business is grocery, convenience store, items like that.
And that stuff's nice, man, because there's no returns, the volume's
no
good.
returns, no returns. And the good thing about it too, bro, is there's so many variations that you can do with those items, right? Think about this. Yeah. So like there's with health and beauty, let's say you're selling shampoo, right? You can bundle a pack of 2 of shampoo, pack of 2, pack of 3, pack of 4, whatever. The only thing you can probably do with that shampoo, you can probably bundle that with conditioner of the same brand, right? So you have shampoo and conditioner. But with grocery, bro, you have different pack sizes, different ounces, different, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different variations that you can create from that, that the possibilities and potential is literally endless on what you can do with that category. So I've just kind of made my bones right there, man. You know what I mean? Like literally taking one item and then researching to see if that item has other items that are similar. You know what I mean? Just continuing to kind of snowball that item. And so now one item that you found can turn into 4 or 5 items of the same item, but maybe a different pack size, maybe a different flavor, maybe different ounce size. You know what I mean?
So are you creating your own listings in that regard?
I have done some, yes.
Because you have a lot of posts on Instagram about PPC and stuff like that. Are you still really into that stuff?
PPC. Yeah, absolutely, man. Listen, once you find out how to do PPC, your business will explode. Like once you really find out how to do it, you know what I mean?
Let's actually dig into that PPC, because I don't think we've ever actually talked about
not really, and definitely not with someone from Wholesale. You know,
Mm-hmm.
mainly a private label thing, but not at all. So for everyone, the people at home, right, who don't know what that is, you search something on Amazon and you see those sponsored listings. They're popping up everywhere.
Sponsored ads.
The first 6 options, in some cases, typically 3 or 6 options, right? So
Right.
sellers that are buying that space on the page to try and sell more of their product and everything. So how can we all use that to get infinitely more wealthy?
Well, I think I heard, I think Scott Needham said one time that everybody should be running PPC on their items, right? And so he has this method of what he does where he pretty much creates a campaign, and every item that's in his catalog, in his inventory, he adds those to this 2-cent PPC campaign. And so what that does is, and I'm not sure if this is true or not, I'm not sure if you gain more sales, you get to buy box more when you do this. But whenever you put those items into a campaign like that, so now you're running literally a 2-cent pay per click for every time your item shows, you know, in that sponsored ad. And so I've done that on every single item that I have in my catalog. But there are items that aren't listed on Amazon yet that I've listed myself that I've gained a tremendous amount of traction on. And so basically what I'll do is, in order for me to figure out which items I'm going to purchase and which items I'm going to run PPC on, is I use Helium-10 for that. So I go to Helium-10. Helium-10 will literally give me the search volume and all of the information I need, the keywords that I need in order to go inside the listing. So whether that's my title, my description, my bullet points, my description, all of that stuff, in order to go inside, in order to go inside that listing. Once I get the listing created, I then go and create the campaign for the PPC. Helium-10 now has a really cool feature that will give you the PPC suggestion. So let's say, okay, so this particular item, hypothetically, let's say the PPC ranges from 40 cents to 80 cents. And so what I like to do is I like to fall somewhere in between what they're suggesting, and then I'll go and I'll run the campaign. What I like to do is I like to create manual campaigns and put my own keywords in there based on what Keepa has given me in terms of data. Because if you do an automatic campaign, Amazon's just going to literally put the product where they think it should go. And a lot of times when it's automatic like that, it'll place it in front of people who's really not looking for your item and maybe something similar, but it's not what they're looking for. And so now you have a lot of pay-per-clicks that were literally just kind of, pay-per-clicks that are kind of unnecessary. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, I mean, that's been working for me. So I've literally been creating bundles for like 3 years now and running PPC.
And who's taking, like, how are you getting the pictures and everything for that stuff? And is it difficult to create a listing? Everyone that's done it says
it's super easy.
But yeah,
bro, it's super easy. It's so Amazon's a huge search engine, similar to Google, right? So when you use tools like Helium 10 does like a reverse ASIN lookup. And so when you do that, it gives you, not only it doesn't give you the search volume, but it gives you the search volume based on the keywords pertaining to that listing. So those keywords, you want to make sure you get those keywords into your title, into your bullet points, into your description. And what that does is that after you've run your PPC for some time and it starts to gain some traction, now you're going to start to get organic sales off of the PPC that you've run. You know what I mean? And so now I have items that I've created 3 years ago that I don't even run PPC on anymore because now they're organically gaining sales. But the whole purpose for PPC is to get it in front of eyeballs that potentially want to purchase your item at your offer. But creating listing, bro, it's I can do it in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like literally 10 minutes.
Same thing with variations, like out of stock variations or adding a new variation to a listing.
I just got into that, to be honest with you. So yeah, in terms of variations, I really haven't done that many. I literally just created a listing 3 weeks ago that had a variation. And I was a little skeptical of variations because you really don't know in terms of the ones that I'm looking at now. So like Amazon is starting to kind of not shrink their catalog, but kind of create these variations on listings that are very, very similar now. So when you're looking at Keepa, it's a little bit more challenging to figure out which variation is really the one that is ranking as well as is ranking. You know what I mean? So I was a little leery about that initially, but what I've learned is that if it's my listing, then I can go back and look at my data. You know what I mean? So I can go back and look at, okay, so this particular variation, 40 items sold this month. This particular one, 100 items sold this month. So I can go back and I can look at my own data versus trying to, rely on Keepa for that.
Yeah. Can we
that you make, can you boot people off of them? So it's only you selling those items, or?
Yes, I do that all the time.
Because they're in your brand registry, you own the listing.
Yes. Right. Yep. So listen, so there's pros and cons to that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking.
The pro is you can boot people off of your listing, right? The cons to it is if you run out of stock,
the rank, the
rank goes up.
Man, yeah.
And so the more people that are on your listing and can keep it selling, the more it drives the rank down.
Yeah.
So my struggle has been trying to keep those items that are selling well. So I'll have like a spike, bro. I'll send a ton of units. I have a spike in sales. And then if my supplier runs out, then naturally I run out and then the sales rank goes up. So that's been the challenge of it. But there are, I mean, you can file a IP complaint. You can do that. The good thing I like about it, bro, is the subscribe and save feature on it. And so because I do sell consumables, customers, they consume it and 30 days later, they want to come back and they want to order it if they like the product. And so I've gone from 0 subscribe and save customers to close to 600 subscribe and save customers. So those are built in, that's a built-in customer base now where, customers can literally, decipher how frequently they want to receive the product. So again, because it's consumable items, it's going to come back to them every month, every 60 days, every quarter, or, whenever they want it. You know what I mean?
So that brand registry piece is the piece that allows you to kick people off. You can make listings without brand registry,
Yes.
correct? So can you differentiate those?
Yes, you can. I'm sorry, say it again. You kind of.
So can you differentiate like the difference between those two, like being able to create a listing as just some random seller as opposed to needing brand and kind of going through that process?
Right. Yeah. So I believe now whenever you create a listing without brand registry, you have to use what they call a generic brand. And so really, that's really the only difference in my opinion. Now, what I am finding though is as of late, when there is a generic listing that somebody creates, nobody else can jump on that listing either though. Because I've tried it and Amazon gave me some type of notification saying that if the item is showing generic, they don't want to mess up the customer experience or something like that. And so new sellers or sellers who are looking to create their own bundles or listings or whatever, if you do use generic, then you may be the only one that would benefit from not only creating the listing, but being the only seller on that listing as well. On the other side, when you are brand registered, there are perks to being a registered brand. Like I said, you can, complete an IP complaint. You have the subscribe and save feature. They have what they call the brand dashboard. And so it'll show not only all of the stuff that I sell and the search volume and stuff like that, but I can also see what Amazon is suggesting that I get into as well, which is a very, very cool feature. So Amazon will literally show you either different brands or different keywords or different products that are selling well that I could potentially add to my inventory catalog as well.
Sweet. That sounds good. And Q, I think you have some of the best knowledge around listing optimization, PPC, just Amazon in general for someone who isn't doing private label. I'm curious why you aren't and if you want to in the future.
PL?
Yeah.
Yeah, because so these products, you're not creating them. It's just existing products that you're creating listings for.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, no, I'm actually getting into PL right now. Me and Jomar was talking about. I know you guys had him on last week.
Yo, he said,
yeah. No, that's my guy, man. Me and him started together, so that's my guy. So yeah, I'm actually looking at. I've been in talks with a few manufacturers over in China now to create a few products. I've been writing them down. And trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. But I think that there's a huge space, at least in my business, for PL, bro. So because I know how to do PPC, I know how to get the product right in front of people. I know I'm not blindly listing stuff. Like there's a method to my madness. There's a reason why I'm listing what I'm listing. And so I want to take that same approach into the PL space and literally start to add a few products into what I'm already doing, because right now I've gotten a little deeper into distribution as well, and so I'm really, really excited about that space. So I've gone from RA to cash and carry wholesale to distribution to now working directly with manufacturers, literally working directly with getting stuff directly from the brands that you see in these big box stores. And so I don't want to get too far off of kind of what I'm digging into in that space, because I now have unlimited access to the stuff that I was getting from my local supplier, but now it's coming directly from the manufacturer now. You know what I mean?
Have you and Jomar ever met in person?
We have, man.
Okay. I love internet.
Yeah. So we both kind of came up under the tutelage of Adam Ginsberg. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of him.
We talked about him, but we don't.
Yeah, I don't think so. But he's clearly put a lot of great guys.
Yeah. So him and I, we kind of came up under the same teaching of Adam, and then branched off and started doing our own thing. But we went to the Grant Cardone 10X conference some years ago. That was our first time like meeting in person. You know what I mean? So, and it's just amazing to see the growth that he has ascended to from that point, because I remember where he was. So to see, you know, his business exploding and everything that he's accomplished from that point, you know, buying a home, having a child, you know what I mean? Like all of that stuff is just amazing to me. You know what I mean? So, you know, I kind of look at it like we both complement each other. He'll, you know, I'll be working, bro, and he'll just hit me up in the middle of the day to ask me something about Amazon or listing or whatever. You know what I mean? So,
oh my gosh, man.
yeah, man. So we got that good rapport where we just kind of bounce ideas off of each other and everything, man. So
You know,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, the
Internet
great guy.
sensation over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Like we had him on, now a bunch of people are having him on. Fields of Profit had him on his channel now.
Yeah, so he's actually getting ready to start a YouTube channel and podcast, and I'm gonna be his first guest as well. You know what I mean? So
cool.
So yeah, man.
And one thing I like that you've done too is, so I think you have, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but you have one of the best examples I've ever seen of like a very low time investment, but high quality relationships off a social media account. I think you won't pop up super often for us, but you've been around for years and years. So people know you're legit. They trust you. You can DM anyone a question. They can see, oh shit, this dude's really doing this, right? Like it's one of the best examples I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, and bro, it's crazy you bring that up, because I was actually going through my phone this morning before I got on, and I'm like, I used to really be visible on Instagram. Like if you go back to like my older, like if you go deeper, like further into my Instagram page, I was posting a lot, bro. And I think what I was doing was I was documenting my journey with RA, right? Like that's what I was doing. I was in the store, I was filming, I was showing what I was purchasing, I was giving little tidbits, dropping little nuggets here, little knowledge here, there. And what happened is when I got into wholesale, I was like, can't really drop all of my suppliers.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but if the goal isn't to make money, in my opinion, the goal is purely to meet the 1 to 5 people that you share everything with.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that's how it's been though. So, you know, I've coached, you know, some sellers, you know, and stuff like that. But in terms of like literally documenting my every move, because that's what it used to be, bro. Like in the car, heading to TJ Maxx, heading to this place, heading to that, you know what I mean? Like I would have my GoPro here on my chest, and then I had my phone recording. Like I was literally doing that. And then like once I transitioned into wholesale, I just stopped doing that. I would still drop some knowledge here and there, but I just wasn't I wasn't encouraged to share where I'm getting my inventory from. You know what I mean?
What I just like how you did, like, one, you needed the first part to get to the second part, you know, and like, I think totally the goal is like finding those few people that you really, really mess with and everything. Cause like it would legitimately be impossible without that, in my opinion, you know, or they just years extra. Right. And still, you know, people want to hide and never talk to anyone, and, you know,
And also too, like I also got really busy too, you know, like once I started ordering, you know, 3 and 4 pallets at a time and stuff like that, things just got really, really busy, and being able to record a lot and being able to share a lot of value, just, you know, time just didn't permit. But I will say that I'm getting back into the mode of sharing, because, and even what you guys do, I've seen you guys on Twitter for a while now, on Instagram, sharing value. Like I think that's what social media and life is all about. It's about sharing value. Give you guys a quick little insight into me and my background. A lot of people don't know, but I'm a motivational speaker and have been for literally a professional. Yeah. A professional motivational speaker for 13 years. I mean, and when I say professional, I mean getting paid to do it. I don't mean, you know, doing pop-ups and speaking for free. I mean, literally, people will contact me, book me to come to their schools and speak. And so I'm a big proponent of sharing value, right? Like, how can I help? How can I help you? How can I help you get to where you want to be? And so, yeah, so I'm getting back into that mode, man. I think one of the things that's really helped me is I now have a 3-person staff. You know what I mean? So
Why would
it's
you?
allowed for me. Yeah. So it's allowed for me to step away from the day-to-day operation, the labeling, the unpacking, the packing, the boxing, all of that stuff is allowed for me to step back and really focus on running the business instead of being in the business. And so I do have more time now to share value. I do have more time and also more experience and more knowledge on what I can share. Because like I said, guys, I'm excited about where I am, man, in terms of like working directly with these manufacturers, bro. Like it's so I went to the Sweets and Snacks Expo almost 2 years ago. Have you guys ever been there in Chicago?
No.
So I went there with the purpose. And I'm a figure it out type of guy. Like I'm a figure it out. And so when I was going to my local wholesalers here, I would go and I would buy convenience store stuff, snacks, candy, stuff like that, right? And every time I walk in, I'm like, bro, there's no way in hell that the people who own this cash and carry spot, now mind you, this cash and carry spot was like 150,000 square feet. So they have a warehouse part where they house all the inventory, they're overstock, and then they have a place where customers can shop, right? And this is a space where people come and restock their gas stations, their corner stores, their this, their that, right? So that's where I would shop. But every time I walk in, I'm like, bro, there's no way that the owners of this company is contacting each brand that they're selling individually. Because they have thousands of brands in that catch and carry spot, right? So I'm like, there has to be a distributor or a company that's representing all of these brands, that's housing a good amount of these brands. And so when I went to the Sweets and Snacks conference, that's exactly what I found.
Yeah.
So now being able to tap into those places and spaces so now I've literally become the place I used to shop at.
Yeah,
that's what I mean by distribution.
The margin, the operational complexity, the minimums potentially
right
as well. And was that the big bottleneck, do you think? Like, you think that's going to unlock a lot of growth this year?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because there's an unlimited amount of inventory that I can purchase because they manufacture. Whereas my wholesaler, I would have to rely on them to be in stock. And if they weren't in stock, I would have to say, hey, when you guys are going to restock this item or whatever. And so my in stock was predicated on their in stock. Now I've literally cut that middleman out and I'm going directly to the source, and I can literally create a PO for as many units as I need at the time. And let me also say this, guys, for the people who are watching right now, I want you guys to understand that everything that I'm talking about in terms of suppliers, distributors, wholesalers, these people are local. Don't think that you have to go outside of your city and state to find these people. I want you guys to understand, if you go to your warehouse districts, wherever those places are in your city, it's big business happening over there. And they're not going to be billboards. There's not going to be advertising because they don't have to do that because they are who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so what I'm finding is, bro, like, okay, so this candy company, their home office is in Chicago, but they have a distribution center in Atlanta.
Backyard, yeah.
So when I order something, bro, it's not coming from Chicago, it's coming from Atlanta. You understand? And so a lot of times, a lot of people who want to get into wholesale, they're like, bro, I cannot find a wholesaler. There's a lot of wholesalers and distributors right in your backyard.
Yeah, like, because most people live in like suburbs or metro area of somewhere. It's like, I always say, like, when people say they're like, okay, where are you? Like LA or like, suburbs of New York City or Jersey. So like, those are great opportunities just locally, right? Like it's a great opportunity for like just retail arbitrage too, being in a more populated area. and everything like that. And then just as we finish up here, Q, so being that you've been in the space for a while, what are some of the really big, just typical beginner mistakes you see a lot of people make, and then how can we avoid them?
Mistakes, let's see, in terms of wholesale or RA, or just
Both,
in general?
yeah, being an entrepreneur in general, right? Because this shit's hard, you know?
Yeah, no, this shit is challenging, bro. Like, I would say, and this may sound cliche, but not giving up. You know what I mean? Like, I have coached several people that have just given up within like a month. And I'm like, there's absolutely no way.
Worked in a month, like nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
like, bro, like there's absolutely no way that you can compare your progress in a month. You know what I mean? And so I think that one door unlocks another door. And for me, again, I'm a figure it out type of person. And so I will urge people to just try to figure it out. Of course, reach out to people like me, like yourselves, which is fine. But have you tried to figure it out on your own before you reached out to me? You know what I mean?
You can tell by the questions they ask what they're trying to do.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's like, bro, like, have you gotten on Google to research on your own to see if you can find it? If you can't, okay, now so here's an example. Okay, I found a supplier. Okay, what should I say to him or her? When I get them on the phone, what should be my next step from there? Okay, I got you now, right? You want to ask about MOQ.
How do I find a supplier?
Exactly, right? So you've taken the initial step in finding that supplier. So now what's how do I communicate with them? And I think that's the biggest I think people are intimidated by getting on the phone with people who they don't know, right? And so getting on the phone and somewhat being comfortable, but I think that when you know what you're talking about, or you sound like you know what you're talking about,
confidence,
I think that now you have a little bit more
volume.
confidence.
Yeah, you get it through actually doing it and everything.
Right, exactly, right? And so, yeah, man, so I would say, biggest mistake, number one, don't give up, man. Like I think the examples that you guys have had on your podcast, and just the examples on Instagram or Twitter or wherever you guys reside in terms of social media, you see the examples, right? Another thing I would say as well is don't think that these numbers are fake, right? Like a lot of times whenever you see people and you see their success, you'll see sellers who either just got started or they may be interested. They think that this shit is fake. Like, there's no way that this guy's doing $2.3 million. I'm like, no, this shit is real, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you can't dispute it when you document it. You know what I mean? Like, people can go back and look. They can go look back in 2019 when I was doing the book stuff, right? And that's why that's so important, because it builds you leverage both positively and like it reinforces positively, and that it helps you build connections more. And like people can't dispute it and everything. Like if it's sitting there, September 2020, March 2019, that kind of, like, they just can't dispute it and everything. It's like that helps. Right. Either way, those people weren't going to make it anyway.
Yeah, I just think people sometimes have a hard time wrapping their brain around.
Oh, of course.
Those numbers, like, but I'm like, no, bro. Like, I'm in my office right now. My warehouse is literally right on the other side. Like, my employees are working right now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this shit is real,
My favorite part is the it's not scalable side of things, which makes no sense, because like when you go to work at a big company, you don't just like try to become the CEO immediately. Like, you start where you are, you put one foot in front of it. Like, this is no different. It's just so easy to quit. It's so easy to start, but it's also so easy to quit. So that's why so many people do when it gets hard.
Right.
Well, but the fact, Miles, we talk about it all the time, right? We don't know anyone who's been doing this for a year, 16 months, that isn't putting up big numbers.
Yeah, like 2 years. Like, I don't know a single person who was around 2 years ago who that chose to really go hard isn't making like 10 grand a month profit. Like, it doesn't exist. Right. If you really try, it doesn't exist, because you would, just off existing that long, you naturally meet a bunch of other people that are doing it, and you become, who you spend time with and talk to.
Right. Absolutely. I think one last thing I would say is run your race. Try not to grow. You know what I mean? Like, try not to compare yourself to other people and what they're doing. One of the things I ran into, bro, when it came to inventory is I tried to grow too much in terms of how much inventory, I was trying to purchase and trying to wrap my arms around everything. I think that was a big downfall for me. And so I've learned that if I can decrease the number of SKUs I had, but increase the amount of volume I was pushing, that's what kind of allowed me to propel.
Management and everything like that. Sweet. Fantastic.
Because I'm like, yo, listen, like, what if I've sent 1,000 units of this item, right? What if I cut this one out that's not moving as fast? And what if I increase this by another 1,000, right? Mm-hmm. Like, how much more sales can I generate with less with that work. Right? You know what I mean?
Brain power. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
did the same thing. And then it's a teeter-totter though, because if you buy too much of something, it might be sitting on it.
It may be sitting. Hey, listen, guys, really quick before I go, let me say this, and I told Jomar this as well. I don't mess with anything anymore that's above a 10,000 sales rank.
Whoa, damn, that's amazing, man. That's amazing. So you
understand what I'm saying? I have nothing in my catalog that's above 10,000 sales rank. So I want stuff that not only moves fast, but also provides me a good return.
Yeah.
But we can that we're moving volume.
Yeah. Are you competing with Amazon or anything?
I think it may be one or two, bro, but I try to stay away.
Yeah, I agree.
I try to stay away because Amazon will literally come in and just decimate.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A listing and literally lower their prices. But not give a shit about us peons down here. They just step on our heads, bro, and keep it rolling. So but yeah, man. So for those of you who want to grow fast, bro, I've become a bougie sourcer, bro. So like the stuff that I look for, if it's over 10 grand in sales rank, I don't source it anymore. I don't buy it anymore. You know what I mean? Not saying I'm not.
But you're good. You've earned the right to do that because you're good now. Yeah, like you've gone through a lot of testing process, and that's what works for you. I
mean that's the thing with wholesale, right? Is if we consider it just binary in terms of pricing and velocity, one of those you can change, one of those you can't, right? You could always work on that better pricing, but the demand is the demand, right? You're not going to make a 100,000 ranked product 5,000 out of nowhere.
Of course, because the need isn't there.
Exactly. You're not going to change the demand of the marketplace just with these snap figures and some PPC. But the price, on the other hand, if you see a supplier with an $8 unit price, but it moves really fast, well, maybe you purchase a few times, maybe you can get that down to 7.
Get that down, right? Absolutely.
Sounds good. And where can people find you on socials, Q?
Instagram is InsaneFBAHustle, and Twitter is InsaneHustle on Twitter. Yep. So those are the two that I'm on mainly. I don't tweet a lot, bro, but like I said, I'm trying to get my time back where I can get back on these social media sites and start adding some more value.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks everyone for listening. Go get
Appreciate you guys for having me on.
Seller Amp if you haven't already. And talk soon. Thanks a lot, man.
Awesome. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.